Good morning. Our chalice lighting today comes from Erica Hewitt, and it is called To Be a Unitarian Universalist. And I don't remember if I've used this here before, but Erica's words are so resonant that I think they are just almost could be used every week, and I would get something new from them. To be a Unitarian Universalist means we'll never be done with the work of telling the truth about oppression, the work of resisting any laws, policies, or practices that deny anyone their humanity, the work of stubbornly seeking out the spark of the divine in each other, no matter what, the work of creating heaven on earth. To be a Unitarian Universalist also means we're not alone in the work. We're not alone because of our promises to love one another. We are not alone because we are companions on the journey. We grow ourselves into allies, helping one another get free, because none of us is truly free until we are all free. And now our opening words are from Mary Oliver and are called Morning Poem. Every morning, the world is created under the orange sticks of the sun that heaped ashes of the night turn into leaves again and fashion themselves to the high branches, and the ponds appear like black cloth on which are painted islands of summer lilies. If it is your nature to be happy, you will swim along the soft trails for hours, your imagination alighting everywhere. And if your spirit carries within it the thorn that is heavier than lead, if it's all you can do to keep on trudging, there is still, somewhere deep within you, a beast shouting that the earth is exactly what it wanted. Each pond with its blazing lilies is a prayer heard and answered lavishly every morning, whether or not you have ever dared to be happy, whether or not you have ever dared to pray. Have you ever experienced a moment in time that seemed extraordinary in its ability to transcend the boundaries of what feels like our usual linear time? The kind of moment that seems so right that it invites the whole of your being to be present and attuned. When I think of these kind of moments, there is no singular category of experience that defines this kind of time for me. I remember a spring evening in my early 20s when I was able to leave work a little early. And at that time, I walked to work. On my walk home, I happened to run into my partner, who was coming to surprise me and take me out to dinner. I remember the smell of flowers, the warm spring air, and the sight of their smiling face. I felt a deep, abiding joy in that moment, and it seems to hang in a kind of eternity, despite the fact that the days of that relationship are long past. There are other such moments. The moment in time I knew I was called to ministry, the moment I met my spouse, Alex, even the moment that our rabbit, Sokka, chose me to be his person. The timing and circumstances of all these moments don't have much in common, save that they all seem to bear a particular quality. They feel like a locus for what is and for what needs to be. They feel right and they feel ripe. What is your relationship to time? Any takers? I don't have much left. Last time I asked this to a congregation, someone just said, "Oh, God." And this time I don't have much left. It's a big question. It's a big question. Let me ask it a little differently. What messages did you receive about time growing up? Were there any times that were considered sacred for your family or your culture? And if so, how were those different from ordinary time? If you have been a member of spiritual communities, even like this spiritual community, what does sacred time mean to your communities? Have you ever had a time when you simply knew in your body, your mind, and your spirit that it was the right moment to take a particular action? How did you know? What did that feel like? If that feeling were to arise again, how would you recognize it? The ancient Greeks had two words for time: Chronos and Kairos. Chronos refers to chronological time, the way we experience time when we split it into sequential measurements of seconds, minutes, hours, days, and so forth. Kairos, on the other hand, refers to a non-sequential, non-chronological kind of time. Kairos is the ripening of a particular moment in such a way that we know it is time to take action. It's the sense of having reached the opportune time to do something and knowing deep within ourselves that this is the moment. In Christian theology, Kairos came to be understood as a kind of sacred time, a critical moment of intersection between human understanding and the vastness and ineffableness of God's time. And I believe the concepts of Chronos and Kairos can help us begin to think about our own awareness of time in a modern context and how we experience time and pace as sacred. It can be deceptively easy to think of chronological time as constant and unchanging. Most of us probably experience a dominant time culture of days being defined in terms of 24 hours, which are meted out in seconds and minutes. Most of us probably mark time by the Gregorian calendar, which is defined in terms of 12 months, mostly comprised of 30 or 31 days. And we count these days as beginning with mornings and ending with nights. We mostly rise in the mornings and sleep at night. But this understanding of time is actually a fairly modern invention. Prior to the Industrial Revolution, many peoples and cultures experienced very different constructions of time. In pre-industrial Europe, for example, and other places, people commonly practiced something known as biphasic sleeping. So instead of going to sleep at one time in the evening and waking up in the morning, they would have one sleep beginning earlier in the evening and that ended before midnight. Then they would wake up, tend to a variety of things, and go back to sleep around 2 or 3 a.m., and then wake at or after dawn. Many cultures have measured and still measure time by seasons, phases of the moon, and by days that begin in the evening. So the way we construct time is and has always been fluid and culturally dependent. Have you ever known, through some intuition, that it was time to do a specific thing? Have you ever had that feeling in your gut that the moment before you was the right time to take a particular action? And have you ever felt the building energy of a life change approaching? Have you known that it was time for you to begin moving in a new direction? All of these our Kairos time, a kind of time that is defined not so much in terms of units of measurement or sequence, but in intuition, feelings, and knowing that comes from the experience gained by tuning into our own rhythms and the rhythms of the world around us. Kairos is a kind of sacred time. Sacred time takes many different forms. Many spiritual traditions and cultures have periods of time that are specifically demarcated as special or sacred. There are earth-based celebrations of Beltane in the early summer, centered around new emergence of life, and Samhain in the autumn, observing a time of liminality and transition from life to death. Prior to the High Holy Days, Jewish people observe the month of Elul, which is a time of intense spiritual reflection on how we have lived out our values over the last year. And Jewish time moves in cycles of 7 years, with the 7th year, called the Shemitah year, which is marked as time to orient towards rest and the releasing of burdens. Many Christians observe the sacred time of the liturgical year, according to something called the Revised Common Lectionary. The seasons of the liturgical year are Advent, Christmas, Epiphany, Lent, Easter, and Pentecost. And each of these times comes with a particular spiritual focus and corresponding liturgy in the Christian scriptures. Now, we UUs don't really have set liturgy or liturgical time, but I think we do similar things when we observe water communion, flower communion, and annual events in our congregation that we look forward to and know in our bones are something special. And these cycles of sacred time, even UU sacred time, are getting at something intuitive, something that arises in the body and wants recognition and release. It's the need to acknowledge and honor life and death, that sense that we may have abundant time left, or we may not. It honors the need to take stock of our own actions and recommit to living out our values, and the need to reflect on the state of our own spirits and renew our connection to the sacred, however we know and name it. Now, a slightly different question. What is your relationship to pace? How do you know when you are going at a pace that meets you well? What pace do you normally go at? In our post-industrial world, a world where capitalism tells us we must define our worth by our productivity, where capitalism tells us we must define our worth by being young, we are systematically denied the liberty to be in touch with different constructions of time. We are expected to move at a standardized pace instead of going at our own optimal pace. When our bodies are regarded as mere tools in a system that can be used when we're young and discarded when we're old, we lose touch with a pace of holiness. When we are forced to move at the pace of an oppressive Chronos time, we lose touch with that Kairos time. And this is why I believe practices of curiosity, slowing down, and questioning the pace at which we're operating is radical and necessary spiritual work. Tricia Hersey, the founder of the NAP Ministry, writes the following about the practice of slowing down and resting. She says, "It is about a deep unraveling from white supremacy and capitalism. These two systems are violent and evil. History tells us this, and our present living shows this. Rest pushes back and disrupts a system that views human bodies as a tool for production and labor. It is a counter-narrative. We know that we are not machines. We are divine. And it is not a joke or anything to make light of, because we are no longer divine beings in this system, and instead machines. This is metaphysical, spiritual, and political work. Go slow. Learn history. Learn your own history. View your body as its own unique technology. Listen. So I ask again, what is your relationship to time? And what do you want it to be? How do you open yourself to awareness of the Kairos moments when they come to you? How will you go slow? How will you learn history? How will you view your body as its own unique technology? How will you listen? Amen. Selah, blessed be. Kenya Hiratzon, may it be so. May we all feel the freedom to slow down, to learn history, to be curious, to view our bodies and the times we exist in as our own unique technology. Listen, and then act in a way that liberates ourselves and each other. Amen.